Hello there guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. If you enjoy the content and you enjoy this analysis, please subscribe and leave me a thumbs up and a comment. So on the agenda this afternoon we have another game from the World Senior Teams. On this occasion between International Masters Peter Large, representing England, and Leon Lederman, representing Israel, both of them seasoned international masters with a long history of high-level chess. They're playing in the plus 65 group in Prague, and we are going to see in this game the accelerated Grand Prix attack and some of the dangers and traps that you can see and find and play in this variation. So Peter opened with e4 and Leon contested with c5, the Sicilian defense. Knight to c3 is the first move of the closed or the Grand Prix. Leon played knight to c6, and here for the Grand Prix, for the traditional Grand Prix, we would normally play pawn to f4 and then follow up with knight to f3, bishop to c4, or sometimes bishop to b5, d3 castle, queen e1, queen h4. We saw a game of the Grand Prix a few days ago and it was a very fun game to watch. In this game, Peter Large played bishop to b5, which I call the accelerated Grand Prix. Now, this move has a space of its own. Sometimes it can just transpose to Grand Prix positions. There are many interesting ideas here. And sometimes the pawn stays on f2, as we shall see in today's game. Now, one of the main responses against bishop to b5, a very good response, is knight to d4, avoiding or sidestepping the double pawns, but at the same time trying to win a tempi by attacking the bishop on b5. Of course, bishop c4 is perfectly playable and actually very good. But there's a very nice trap in this position which I want to teach you using this game. Maybe some of you will add it to your repertoire and use it in one of your own games. The trap is to play knight to f3. Now, we're just suggesting to our opponent, if you want, you can capture my knight, but that will allow me to develop. I mean, 3 pieces developed already. Or you can capture my bishop, in which case I'll capture back, castle, and maybe blast open the center to take advantage of my development. Or you can play a6, in which case I'll probably drop back to c4 and the game will progress from here. But many players here don't want to capture. They just want to keep their knight on d4, which is actually very strong. Because if at some point white captures, by recapturing with the pawn, we have a very strong pawn in the center and we push back white's knight. So they play g6. And now there are a couple of interesting tricks here. We go back bishop to c4. They play bishop to g7. And now, unexpectedly, we swap off the knight. And when they recapture with the pawn, expecting our knight to drop back, we include queen to f3, hitting the pawn on f7. And this is actually very strong. It's not at all easy to defend against this attack. The best way to defend is to play knight to h6, but very few players like to play this move because the knight is off the board for a long time. In fact, to play knight to h6, you have to know your theory, and you have to know that after knight to e2, castle, d3, you have to know that knight to g4 is a spectacular but very effective move to try and reroute the knight to e5. The key idea is that if the queen captures the knight, black plays d5 with a double attack, getting back the piece. It's unlikely that you'll know this and it's even more unlikely that you will spot it during a game. Also, if you think about knight to f6, you'd be very worried that e5 could be dangerous. Look at this variation, for example. Take, 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 long castle, and h4. Now look at White's development. I mean, White is very well developed, and already his attack is pushing through. So most players think, okay, it's not a big deal. I mean, I'm used to playing e6 and knight to e7, so I'll play it now. And their thinking is, White will go back, I'll bring out the knights, castle, play d5, and I'm as happy as a lettuce. But the thing is, in this variation, White has knight to b5. Doesn't look so strong because we just played d6, and our thinking is, this is a loss of tempo because now I'm going to push back the knight with a6. And that's when your opponent hits you with the hammer and goes queen to a3. And now you realize, oops, I'm in big trouble now. I should have bought one of my chessable courses to understand how to play this better. If you don't want to fall into these traps, you should check out my own chessable courses in the description. King to e7. Not a very nice move to play, but alternatively, bishop to f8 is bad because of knight to d4. And if anyone new thinks that d5 is a double attack, we do have bishop to b5 check. So what to do after king to e7? Okay, so your opponent wants to push you back, but notice that the rook hasn't got a defender still, so he even won't be able to capture your knight in certain scenarios. So what we do here is immediately blast up against his center and attack him with the threat knight takes d4. If he captures, we capture, and we open up the bishop to also bring to the attack. So Lederman played e5. He's already in big danger. Pawn takes 1 point. And now again, queen to f3. He swings the queen back and hits the f7 weak square. Bishop to e6. Capture, capture. And this wonderful move, e5. Hitting the pawn on b7. Hitting the pawn on d6. There's only one way to protect against that, which is playing d5. And now we have this swing back to a3. The swinging queen. And the knight gets to d6 with check. This is basically game over. And now we swing back the queen to f3 again. I mean, this is fantastic. The threat is queen to f7 mate, so black has to give up a piece. And now we just have to take things calmly. If we capture too soon, black gets the knight back. So first we develop d3. Let's bring the knight. Let's bring the bishop into contention. King to e7, castle, no rush, and the pawn is en prise because of knight to f7 with a triple attack and the extra move, bishop to g5. Black is completely lost here. He still fights on. Several ways to win, but this looks very, very nice. Bring the rook into play. I mean, Peter was probably having the time of his life here. Queen back. Knock off the bishop, which is more dangerous than the rook. Knock off the knight and finish off with this lovely rook to c7, and the queen is dropped. This was a fantastic game by Peter Large. Especially impressive the queen swings back and forth and the way he just attacks. This would be actually a model game for the Grand Prix and for the Accelerated Grand Prix. So if you're out there trying to improve on your skills with white in the Grand Prix attack, this is definitely a game you should check out. If you have friends who play these lines, send them this game by WhatsApp. Super fast. Send them the video. And if they play Dragon, Accelerated Dragon, or Assorted Sicilians with Fianchetto, also send them the video. They'll need to watch this game and hopefully subscribe to the channel and improve and enjoy. And we'll see you in our next video here on the channel. I'm still in Barcelona, but when you see this video, I'll be in sunny Cyprus. So with a bit of luck, I'll throw you over a game from Cyprus and show you around the playing hall. Cheers.